Hey there, thank you for joining me for flow today. Today's flow will be an all standing flow, and it will allow for focus, strength, and balance. So, when practicing yoga, a lot of the time in history, they did not use mats and blankets and blocks and all these things that came along later. Sometimes people just had themselves. And so today we welcome in this space just using our body for some stretches and strength and yoga poses, some classic poses and some contemporary poses, and just feeling the difference possibly if not using a mat, if not using anything but the body. It's going to allow us to kind of center in on depending on what parts of our body that we're moving. We're going to want to work on engaging the core to help us lift. We're going to want to think about and kind of understand and bring into awareness the distance of like our hands between our legs and so on. So this is a really cool practice and flow to also kind of just be without the mat and almost take on a larger amount of space. Sometimes being on the mat, it's a wonderful support tool. If you prefer to have that, definitely do so. But if you would like to go on without it, it's nice because when we're moving, you almost feel a little bit more free because you're not worried about stepping off of the mat or stepping over a block. So this will be a nice little flow. We're going to get started. It's all standing. So for directional sake, I'll be doing my best to point towards, but I tend to start on the right side and then allow things to move through the body and then end on the left side. So you could do the same or you could do opposite depending on what you'd like to do with your flow and your practice and in alignment with me. But the more important thing is just being in alignment with self, listening to body. You can still always have a hazy gaze or soft gaze or closed eyes during flow. You can, like I said, have that mat if you really prefer to have the mat with you, but it's nice to try or do the flow without. And so we'll start standing, just coming into mountain pose. So I'm going to roll the shoulders back, the palms facing forward. Start to bring awareness into that belly. You could have those closed eyes, and we'll just take a few breaths here. Inhaling and exhaling. Welcoming ourselves into this place, into this space. You're more than welcome. If you prefer to have some background music to do so, or maybe my sound down, and just follow along with the steps. Or I'll have some music to go in the background. We'll take another breath, and when you're ready, we'll take the arms out through sides, raise them up to ceiling and sky, welcoming a nice stretch up towards ceiling, palms come together down to heart. Once again. Exhaling as palms connect down to heart. One more. You're going to hold the palms at heart center, drop and relax those elbows down. Relax the shoulders, check in with the belly. Start to ground the feet in beneath you. And when ready, inhale the arms up to sky. Palms come apart in alignment with shoulders. Take a nice back, little bend here and stretch. Exhale, forward fold. Find yourself in your forward fold. You can always bend and unbend the knees. You could always rock the head front to back or side to side. Do whatever feels good for you. When ready, on an inhale, you're going to bring the hands up to shin, flat back tabletop. Lengthen and extend, engage that core. Exhale. Inhale, flat back. Exhale. Inhale, flat back tabletop. Exhale down. Maybe gently bend the knees, roll up the spine, creep the arms through center up to ceiling and sky at your own pace and time. Welcome a nice stretch. Inhale, exhale, keep the arms nice and long towards the sky, relax the shoulders down. We're going to find some Banasanas, some banana poses. I'm going to turn just for directional sake. I'm going to clasp or intertwine my fingers above the head. Inhale, nice and high. Exhale to one side, nice side stretch. Now hold this for about 2 to 3 breaths. When ready, gently release, come back to center, lengthen, inhale, exhale to the opposite side. Come back to center, release the arms down at sides. Find the moment for rest in mountain pose. We're going to go ahead this time. We're going to take the arms down and around, circle them out in front of chest, a gentle knee bend. Inhale the arms up. Lengthen and stretch. Exhale, chair. You can find a high chair, or if you've already warmed up today, you can take a lower chair. Remember to pull and engage that core. When you're ready, palms come together. Drop down to heart center if you choose. You can take a little twist to one side or the other. I'm going to take a twist to the right. Deeper seated chair pose. Open up the arms. Connect, come back to center. I'm gonna roll up right into a knee lift. I'm gonna find balance on my left. Lift up my right leg into a knee lift. Roll back those shoulders, check in with belly. So here you can keep your hands at heart and palm center. Your feet can be flexed. You have that option though to release the hands if you choose, out to sides or down to hips. It's up to you. We're going to go ahead and find a nice tree pose. We're going to relax that foot down to side. We're going to take a low tree to start. That right knee falls out to side. You can use your hand to get a little open and release, or you can find heart center, sides, or mudras, or a waving tree. It's up to you. This welcomes that first initial little balance in the body. When ready, bring back that knee lift. Bring it back to floor. Walk anything out that you need. Relax the body. Then we're going to take those arms down and around again. Raise them up to ceiling and sky. Nice stretch. Exhale, chair again. Palms connect down to heart if you choose. Take a little twist to the left if you choose. Or whichever side that you haven't done yet. Come back to center. We're going to find that balance and weight shift on the right as we come up and find that knee lift on the opposite side. Now take your time, find your breath, and focus that balance, that awareness, present moment. Find that tree if you choose. You could have your hand help to bring that knee out to further out to the side, torso facing front and center. You can always have hands wherever. When you're ready, knee lift, back down to floor. Walk out what you need. We're going to welcome some warriors into our body. So we're going to go ahead this time. We're going to kind of wiggle those feet back into posture and sensation. We're going to take the arms up. Inhaling up, we're going to exhale. You're going to lift that left foot again. Take it back. Find warrior two, right foot in front. Check in with the arms. Check in with the tail. When ready, reverse warrior. Back to two. Float into one. Back to two. Modified extended warrior. You can hold here, drop down to a triangle, unbending the knees, drop that hand to floor. Arm adjust. Flow right back into 2. We're gonna follow along that left leg to front to top of mat. A little moment for rest, mountain. Now, through those warriors, we add a nice little stretch in that right front side. So we're gonna focus on lifting that leg for our warrior 3. This is one of those where you can go through steps that we've already done with maybe a leg knee lift, and then maybe a tree, and then extend that foot back into the warrior 3. It's up to you. Take your time, or you have that option to engage that core, roll back those shoulders, hands go wherever you would like, you need, for what have you. Think about all the steps, take your time, that focus, that balance, that strength training. Then go ahead, you're gonna welcome a nice forward fold or flat back tabletop as that right foot full X's. You're finding your weight shift on your left. You have the option for a gentle bend in the left knee. Take your time here. Maybe your hands stay low. Maybe they go out to sides. Readjust if you need. Or maybe they float out in front of you. Take your time. Find your balance, especially if you have any healing going on in the lower body. Engage the core. Then when ready, bring it all back to center. Knee lift, back to floor. Walk anything out that you need. Then we'll go ahead, we're gonna bring that awareness and shift from our right leg to the left, staying up front. We're gonna go ahead and raise those arms up to ceiling and sky. Find warrior 2 on left side. Align the arms, track them with tail and shoulders. Reverse warrior. Back to 2, that warrior 1. Back to 2. Extended warrior if you choose. Option to drop down to triangle or pyramid. And feel that stretch in that left hip possibly, that left inner thigh, the glutes. Back to 2. We're gonna follow that back body to the front, a nice stretch. Mountain pose for a moment. Set up now for that left leg to reach towards the sky now, towards the back body. So we're gonna go ahead, take your time, your palms can come to center, hands on hips, go wherever you'd like. Then when you're ready, you have that option always to start. You could have a bent leg, your right leg might be the one that connects to the floor, you're doing the opposite side that you just did. Then you have that option, you could always have a bent leg, you could lift up in a knee lift first and then kick it back, or you have that option just to extend and lengthen back as the upper body falls forward. So take your time. I know for me, I had my landing foot in through middle school and high school for hurdles, so I have to be a little more careful. No rush, take your time, we made it here. Focus, breathe, balance, strengthen. Do your best to that foot that's connected to the floor to keep those toes also grounding into the floor. Bring awareness into that foot. Your hands can release and go wherever they support your body. Take your time. Maybe this is new for you, or maybe it's not. Every day is different. You have to work on each part and piece of the body. Alignment, strength training. Maybe you prefer to take the hands to floor and focus just on the lower body first. Then raise the hands back up. It adds a little bit more support. I guess you have all of those toes and foot grounding in. You want to just lengthen that leg back. Keep it in alignment. And when you're ready, maybe that knee lift, bring it back down to the floor. So take your time, release anything. Come back into mountain for a moment of peace and rest. You could close the eyes just for a second, connecting with breath. Wonderful job today. You know, this is something magical, a different journey every day. Nothing too wild over here. We're going to allow those palms to come to heart center once again. We're going to welcome some standing side spinal twists. Or you can call them belly twist or standing supine spinal twist. It's going to allow some equilibrium and balance back into our body. Taking our time, you can still walk out or take any other little motions or movements that you need in the body. We're going to go ahead, we're just going to come through center, palms at heart center if you wish. Then you're just going to twist the body to one side or the other. I'm twisting to my right to start. You can keep the hands connected or wrap them around also. Then return back to center, palms connect. Connect with breath. Take your spinal twist the opposite direction. Connect back to breath. We're going to go ahead, we're going to take our feet a little bit wider here. Just to also balance out, we kept everything kind of close, even through warriors. We want to give a little bit of space to the legs. So we're going to go ahead and just take our feet, toes pointing out, heels pointing back, a nice little gentle wide stance. We're going to take the arms out their side, raise them to ceiling and sky. Exhale, swan dive, forward fold. Hands are going to come down to floor. If you have vertigo, you can keep the head lifted. If you don't, feel free to invert the head towards the floor. Allow it to go heavy. Maybe the toes walk out a little wider. Bend the elbows if you'd like. You can keep the hands here aligned underneath the front body, or you can pass them through center towards the back. And then when you're ready, creep the hands forward. I'm going to bring the feet in a little bit closer just so that we can come up into standing, rolling up the spine, bending the knees up. We're going to roll those shoulders back once again. The feet are still a little bit wide. We're going to take the feet pointing out another direction, out to either side once again. Heels come in a little bit further if you'd like. We're going to drop down for a nice goddess or horse pose. The arms are going to go out to sides. Gently release. Bring those feet in a little bit closer. Last one for the day. We're going to either, with options, we're going to take the arms out through sides once again. You can drop passing through goddess, and then you can take into a nice yogic squat where you can stay high but the tail is dropped low. You still have a nice opening through the inner body. The arms can help support the body by forearms going onto thighs, or you can drop down further to a nice garland pose. Adjust what you need. Take another breath or two, wherever you find yourself. Then gently either raise back up into standing or use your hands to help raise you up. Release, toe and heel it back to center. And then walk out anything you need. Take another nice full body stretch. The arms will wrap around, raising up through center, up to ceiling and sky for a nice stretch. Maybe a nice back stretch. Exhale, forward fold. Take any little motions or movements that you need. Then roll up the spine. Come back into standing. Find yourself standing. Take whatever little stretches and motions and movements that you need. Maybe take a moment to close the eyes, connect in standing Shavasana, or just relax the arms down at sides. Or maybe if you have time, you'd like to go into a nice corpse pose or sitting or laying Shavasana or moment for peace. A moment to allow an overwhelming sense of calm and peace to come over the body. A moment to connect with self, maybe left hand over heart, right hand over belly, above the navel. Or maybe you just take 2 to 3 deep breaths to help center yourself. Relaxing the elbows, relaxing the shoulders. Do whatever feels good for you. Thank you for joining me for Flow today. This was a flow for focus, balance, and strength. Have a wonderful day.